In the previous episode, we saw Lloyd preparing for a duel with Newman, armed with nothing but a shovel. Now in this episode, we find the crowd murmuring in disbelief. Is he really going to fight Newman with a shovel? Someone asks. Javier, observing from the sidelines, thinks, a solid iron shovel, so that's what he had the blacksmith make for him. Baron, visibly irritated, mutters, that boy, was this all just a joke in the end? But Javier isn't convinced. A joke? No way. When I think about the past month, him relentlessly doing basic training at dawn without a word of complaint, running around construction sites teaching engineers about Ondol, and then practicing swordsmanship right up until bedtime, none of that screams joke to me. Master Lloyd is more serious than ever. With Baron's command, the duel begins. Newman strikes first with his sword, but Lloyd blocks the attack effortlessly with his shovel and pushes it aside. Frustrated, Newman strikes again, and once more, Lloyd deflects the blow with ease. Watching this unfold, Javier is astonished. His movements, they're so efficient. It's as if his skills were designed specifically for real-life combat. It feels like our swordsmanship has evolved over centuries and now stands before me. Lloyd, noticing the reactions, smirks and thinks, so surprised? Any Korean guy would know how to do this. This is modern hand-to-hand combat at its finest. It's bayonet training. And honestly, a shovel is far more versatile than you might think. With that thought, Lloyd launches an attack on Newman using his shovel. But Newman, being a seasoned swordsman, evades and counterattacks with his sword. Lloyd blocks it yet again and thinks to himself, the wide blade can double as a shield. It can cut through thick roots, and if I do this... Lloyd jumps into the air using the shovel as a pogo stick, laughing wildly. Bring it on, he yells at Newman. Come at me. Javier, now utterly baffled, wonders, is this a joke? Or is it something else entirely? Newman, furious, charges at Lloyd once more. This time, Lloyd becomes serious and thinks, the first weapon I prepared to defeat you, Newman, was this shovel. The second is the fundamental sword techniques I learned from Javier. Thinking fast, Lloyd swung his shovel in rapid strikes at Newman, who barely managed to block each one. Frustrated, Newman thought, you bottle-loving lowlife. How is he this strong all of a sudden? Meanwhile, Lloyd smirked to himself, thinking, my third weapon isn't just this shovel. It's my training. The +1 approval I got from Javier, plus the +2 from the Baron and Baroness for making their son actually work, has brought my RP up to 97. Suddenly, a notification appeared before him. Would you like to learn the skill extension shoveling? Required RP equals 40. Without hesitation, Lloyd accepted it. Newman took a few steps back, breathing heavily. In disbelief, he muttered under his breath, against a civilian, I didn't think I'd need to do this. He summoned his mana heart, a glowing core of energy. Now it's serious, hooligan. Let's see what you're made of, Newman said as his energy began to radiate. Watching from a distance, Javier thought, for someone untrained, summoning a mana heart takes at least 5 years. For a normal person, over 10. There's no way Master Lloyd can stand up to this kind of attack. Newman charged forward, his sword blazing with mana, aiming for Lloyd's head. Lloyd met the attack head-on, raising his shovel as a shield. You fool, Newman shouted. I'll break that shovel and that head of yours in one move. The Baron and Baroness gasped in horror. To everyone's shock, Lloyd blocked the attack effortlessly. Newman's eyes widened as he thought, what the? It's like all my strength is leaving my body. Lloyd grinned, muttering, the mana-absorbing skill that made Javier the strongest man in this land, the Azrahan core technique. Realizing what happened, Newman stumbled back. You absorbed my mana? He exclaimed. Before Newman could react, Lloyd swung his shovel with incredible force, smashing into Newman's face. Teeth flew into the air as Newman's vision slowed. He stared at the airborne tooth, thinking, is that mine? Lloyd didn't stop there. With a swift motion, he struck Newman on the head, knocking him out cold. The crowd stood in stunned silence. The Baron finally declared, the winner is Lloyd. Newman, lying on the ground, muttered to himself in disbelief. The sword expert lost to that lowlife? Lloyd stepped forward, grinning down at his defeated opponent. Did you hear that? I won. Guess it's time for you to take a real beating. Raising his shovel high, Lloyd prepared for another swing. The Baron shouted, Lloyd, what are you doing? The duel is over. But Lloyd didn't listen, slamming his shovel down repeatedly in a frenzy. The Baron's voice rang out in anger. 2 soldiers grab Lloyd, while Javier watches, confused. Someone near Javier says, has Lloyd lost it? But Lloyd stays calm and tells the soldiers, all right, let go. They release him, and Lloyd resumes mercilessly beating Newman. Javier observes intently, thinking, this isn't random. He's hitting him precisely, targeting each pressure point, and he's so composed. It's like he's already seen how this will play out, like he knows everything. Flashback to 15 days earlier. Lloyd asks Javier, teach me the Azrahan core technique. Javier is stunned. Lloyd continues, what's with that shocked face? I'm not asking you to teach me how to pickpocket. This technique draws mana from the environment, not just from within yourself, right? Javier is astonished, thinking, this is a technique I've never revealed to anyone, and it's incomplete. He asks, Master Lloyd, how do you even know about this? Lloyd, bluffing, responds, I heard you talking about it in your sleep while I sang lullabies to you. Javier grows suspicious, thinking, Why does he look so smug? This doesn't make sense. He informs Lloyd, it's not perfected, so I can't teach it yet. Lloyd interrupts, so you'll teach it to me, and I'll help you perfect it? Javier hesitantly admits it's possible. Lloyd explains, you're trying to absorb outside mana and fuse it with your mana heart, but it's bouncing off because it feels foreign, right? Change your mindset. Instead of blending the absorbed mana with your mana heart, condense it separately nearby and control it externally. It's like creating an auxiliary engine alongside the main one, connected but independent. What do you think? Javier acknowledges that the concept sounds plausible, but struggles with the engine analogy. He asks Lloyd how he came up with the idea. Lloyd, lying again, claims he was just brainstorming. Javier notices his expression and thinks there's that smug look again. He definitely knows something. Using this insight, Javier perfects the Azeron core technique on his first attempt, successfully forming 3 circles and realizing he can improve with practice. Lloyd receives a system notification. Approval rating with Javier increased by +5. Lloyd thinks, I don't need mana heart techniques, just the mana absorption part. All I need is mana that touches my body. Back to the present. Javier realizes Lloyd used this knowledge to defeat Newman effortlessly. As Lloyd continues pummeling Newman, soldiers try to pull him away. The Baron shouts, Lloyd, stop! I won't allow you to dishonor this knight. Lloyd stops, then calmly retorts, this knight's honor? Check under that tablecloth and see if it suits Sir Newman. The Baron looks and finds a stack of incriminating letters. Shocked, he reads them. Lloyd explains, these are letters between Sir Newman and Tordes, the man who scammed you in the real estate deal. They detail their conspiracy, including forged documents and the financial damage to our lordship. Newman, panicking, wonders, I hid those letters in a wall. How did he? Lloyd smirks, thinking, Javier found the letters, and I sent Podong to retrieve them last night. The Baron is speechless, betrayed by Newman. Lloyd Baron looks at him and thinks, he really does seem like a kind person as described in the book. Anyone else would be demanding his head right now. I'm sorry, but a kind leader and a good leader are 2 completely different things. Lloyd says to Baron, if you are considering how to deal with this man, I would like to offer a suggestion. The knight standing behind Baron asks, oh, I see. And what is it? Lloyd replies, let us drop a vicious mouse on this man's hand. If he is hurt by the mouse, let him be exiled from the land. Otherwise, demote him to a foot soldier and give him the opportunity to repent. What do you say, my lord? The onlookers murmur among themselves. A mouse? Why a mouse of all things? Sir Newman would never be hurt by a mouse. Baron thinks to himself, oh, so what he's saying is to give him the opportunity to repent, with the understanding that he could face a harsher punishment at any time, by making him pass a test. Javier, another knight standing next to Baron, whose name is Bayern, tells Javier, this is wise. It is generous while also being a warning to others. Baron says to Lloyd, very well, let us do as you suggest, Lloyd. Lloyd asks Newman, Sir Newman, do you have any objections? Newman replies, no, I am grateful for your mercy. Lloyd looks at Newman and thinks, mercy, you say? If you offer a guilty party a merciful outcome, will they have a change of heart and repent? Not a chance. What? They'll grow more stubborn and cunning, thinking of ways to rise above you. At this point, Newman thinks to himself, you will regret this, Baron Frontera. I will have revenge on you and your low-life son. Lloyd says to Newman, oh my, it's nice to see you smile, though it'll be for the last time. Newman asks, what does that mean? Lloyd feeds a red sunflower seed to Podong and throws it into the sky. Lloyd tells Newman, the best way to ask for forgiveness is to remember that there is none. Podong eats the sunflower seed mid-air and grows larger, hovering directly over Newman. Everyone is astonished to see this happen. Podong starts falling toward Newman, and Lloyd takes the opportunity to escape. As Podong falls onto Newman, Lloyd moves away stylishly and says, what a shame. Exile. And with this, the rotten apple is gone.